There's nothing more frustrating than watching a movie and yet you're struggling to understand the dialogue from your center channel. Now, some of you might be inclined to just go out and buy a bigger and better center channel, but what if I could tell you there may be some things you can do that don't cost you anything to improve your dialogue from your center channel speaker? Well, in this video, I want to give you 5 tips to help you improve the dialogue and the clarity from your center channel, and it's not even going to cost you a dime. So let's jump into it. Well, just recently, I set up a Klipsch 7.2.4 Reference Premiere version 2 system in my living room. A while back, I did a poll, and many of you guys, probably 2/3 of you, said you did not have a dedicated theater room like I do. And so I thought, man, let me do some videos in the living room because that's more conducive to what my audience are using in their own setup. So as you can see here, I've got the Klipsch 504C version 2 center channel. Now this is a massive center channel, but I love the fact that it's not super tall, so it easily fits beneath my TV on top of my cabinet. The first tip is to make sure your center channel is moved all the way to the front of your cabinet. The reason for this is you don't want sound coming from your tweeters and your mid-range drivers hitting the edge of your entertainment center and then just bouncing around your room. That's going to cause a lot of reverberation and some reflections in your room. And the less reflections you can have, the clearer the dialogue is going to sound. So make sure you take that center channel, slide it all the way to the front, and make it nice and flush. Tip number 2, make sure the tweeter on your center channel is in line with your ears, or if it's above or below, it's angled towards your listening position. One thing you have to realize, with higher frequencies and even in your mid-range, it's very directional. Bass, for the most part, is omnidirectional, so you can place it wherever you want in your room. But with a speaker like a tweeter or a mid-range driver, the more you get off axis, in other words, the more you get away from the center of that speaker, whether it's above it, below it, to the left or to the right of it, it's going to change the characteristics of that sound. In one of my previous home theater setups in a living room environment, I had a big, massive cabinet. Now, as you can see here, the only place I had to place the center channel was above the TV. One day I was in the Klipsch forum and I posted a photo of my living room setup, and one of the guys asked if I happened to have the center channel angled down towards my listening position. Well, I'd never really thought about that. I just assumed that's where the center channel goes. There's clearly a cutout for a center channel, so it must sound good up there. I was wrong. What I did is I added just some books behind the center channel near the back of it to angle that center channel to where the tweeter was directly in line with my listening position and with my ears. And guys, it drastically improved the clarity and detail that that center channel produced. So if you have your center channel up high, or in some cases you may have it down pretty low, make sure that center channel is not aimed at your knees or your waist. Angle that up, and a great and easy way to do that is to pick up maybe some foam speaker mounts from Amazon. Now, I use these in my office setup with my Klipsch 5s to angle the speaker's tweeter right towards my listening position. Not only will this angle it towards your position, but it will also decouple that speaker from whatever cabinet it's sitting on. Now you can visually kind of eyeball it to see if the tweeter is in line with your listening position, or you can pick up a really inexpensive laser to make sure it's pinpoint accurate. Now I'll post links to the foam pads that I use for my desk setup down in the description below, so feel free to check those out. Tip number 3 might seem a bit odd and something that I didn't ever think about until someone brought it to my attention, but it is to place a blanket or a cover over your coffee table. Now earlier I mentioned in the video that moving your center channel forward helps prevent those early reflections from sound bouncing off your cabinet and then to your ears. The same principle applies to your coffee table. Now think about it. Your coffee table is probably flat, it's got a hard surface, and sound is going to reflect off of that to your ears. So think of it this way. You're going to have sound come directly from your center channel to your ears, and then a fraction of a second later, you're going to get some reflected sound from your coffee table. Now, because your brain is hearing reverb or a delay in that sound, it causes it to be unintelligible and not as clear to what we're hearing. So an easy and simple fix for that is when you're watching a movie, simply place a blanket over your coffee table to deaden that sound and to prevent any reflections. Now, the fourth tip I want you to do is to go into your AVR setup menu, go to speakers, and look for level adjustments. I want you to make sure that all of your speakers are level matched. Sometimes when you run your auto calibration, let's say you have a Denon or Marantz and you're running Odyssey, or maybe you've got a Yamaha and you're running YPOW, it's going to try to level match your speakers as best as it can. But the reality is it doesn't always get that right. So the best way to verify this is to use an SPL meter or a sound pressure level meter. Now, I use a really old analog SPL meter from Radio Shack back in the day. I picked it up on eBay for like 20 bucks. So it works great. You can go through each one of your speakers and just make sure they're at the same volume. If for whatever reason your room correction got that wrong, your center channel might not be at the same level as the rest of your speakers, which is going to make it more difficult to hear. Now, you can also download SPL apps from your phone, and that's another way that you could do that. It just won't be quite as accurate, but it'll still get the job done. Now, the fifth and final tip I want to share with you is to make sure that your center channel is set to small in your AVR or your processor. Now, once again, you'll go into your setup menu, look for your crossover settings, and go down to your center channel and make sure that it's not set to large. If it is, go ahead and switch that to small. Now, this applies even if you've got a large center channel like the 504C. The reason I recommend this is because it's going to route all of the lower frequencies to your subwoofer, which is what a subwoofer is designed to do. A center channel, yes, it can play some of those lower frequencies, but what I found in my own setup is by switching that from large to small, it really allows that center channel to focus on the frequencies that it can best reproduce, which is going to be your mid-range and your highs. And because you're removing those lower frequencies, maybe 80 hertz, 70 hertz, sometimes even 60 hertz, depending on your center channel, you'll find that you'll be able to drive that center channel even louder because it's not having to run into distortion, maybe when reproducing those low frequencies. If you've tried all 5 of these and your center channel still isn't performing as well as you would like to, there's probably 2 additional things that you can do. Number 1, make sure you add some acoustic treatment to your room. Just like we talked about early reflections, you've got reflections on your sidewall, maybe your ceiling. If you're able to add that, great. That will definitely improve the sound quality of all your speakers. If you've implemented all of these tips and your center channel just still doesn't sound clean and clear, the likelihood is you just need to upgrade to a bigger and better center channel. Maybe the center channel you bought was a super budget-friendly one. My advice has always been, don't skimp out on a quality center channel. It's believed that probably 80% or maybe even more of the information that you hear while watching a movie is going to come through that center channel. So the last thing you want to do is to cut corners just to save a few bucks. Well, I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, make sure you like and subscribe because I've got future videos in the works that I know you're going to enjoy. Guys, I hope you have an incredible week. God bless, and we will catch you in the next video.